Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. This is Victor. So we got a YouTube comment yesterday, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I was looking through the comments, and one of the people used the term. We were talking about the future system, a system after this system has collapsed or revolution has destroyed it, and he used the phrase, the term Unicornia, for our system related to a unicorn. And I had wrote a reply, and I like it. I like the phrase, the term, I mean. And then I started thinking about it, and by the next day, I was off. That was in the evening. By the next morning, I was off of it. And I'm like, I don't like this anymore. You just want to, what's the reason why? It's pretty obvious. You might have already grabbed it.
Yeah, it's just you're conceding the whole battle. It's never going to happen, so it's just a dream. We're just, fantasizing about something. It'll never happen.
Right. And so, yeah, one of the problems I think that people have is apathy is created from demoralization.
Okay.
Because they can't see a future that's not ruled by tyrants, they become apathetic, and they stop participating. It's never going to happen. Well, it won't happen with that attitude. It literally will not. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you go out and do stuff, we've talked about the different stuff. We had that video recently, like how little does it take?
Oh, yeah.
To change the system, where we talked about like the American Civil War and stuff. We've mentioned before the guy who in Egypt, he lit himself on fire. He was like the fruit vendor.
Oh,
and he lit himself on fire, and the next day it's civil war's going,
Sure.
And we're not proposing you do that, but what we're saying is it's not unreasonable. Another story I tell is the Michael Malice story, where he's writing in his book, I think it was The White Pill, and the person in charge of Eastern Germany was having a conversation the day before the Berlin Wall fell, and he said that we're good for about 10 years at least until this happens. And it happened the next day.
Wow.
Okay, I want to talk about what we're doing. Okay, so we went from being two guys who complain.
For years.
We complained for years.
Yeah.
About different stuff. At first it was stuff about Democrats. Then it was stuff about the government, the anti-government stuff, and then it was sharing stories about how terrible the government was. Then it was about the Federal Reserve, and it just kept moving on these different things. But if we had continued on that life, how many people would we have affected?
Zero.
Yeah, because in my day-to-day, I'll get zero, a solid zero. Right. I can keep that average for the entire year, Mm-hmm. And so then we did this. And we spent all this money on this stuff, and we've not made any money, and but that's fine.
But it's not the point.
That's not the point, because we're trying to make a difference. And then down the road, what can we do? And I'm gonna pitch one of my ideas. It's always been my idea from the beginning, and this is we get enough people who are really into it, and then we do a give, send, go for a billboard, right? And say we put in 10%, the billboard's going to cost $5,000, so we put in 500, and we ask for 4,500. We can't do that now because we can't spread 4,500 between our small audience. It's too onerous of an ask, But if we have 5,000 dedicated people, and we say, hey, everybody, can you put in $2? Half of them say yes and put in $2, and we got enough money,
Yeah.
Just of the dedicated people, not of the non-dedicated people, and then put up right next to the FBI building in. What is it, Wisconsin? What is it? Where's Whitmer at?
Michigan.
Michigan, yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to their FBI field office, we put a big sign saying, did these people attempt to kidnap Governor Whitmer?
Right.
We've got a 2-part series on that. They did. They funded it. They trained them. They plotted it. They gave them the weapons. It's ridiculous. But I want to do that all over the country.
Right.
I want these FBI agents to be ashamed. We were just talking about the Border Patrol. I don't know if that'll be published by the time we publish this one, but the Border Patrol for Treason is the name of our video. Yeah. I want them to be ashamed, know? I want the illegal immigrants coming across being helped by the Border Patrol to see signs of hanging Border Patrol people. Do you know what I'm saying? Billboards, Border Patrol for Treason, and just has a bunch of empty nooses sitting there or something,
Yeah.
But we could literally affect those changes.
Right.
And people would be looking what the heck's going on,
Right.
Even if we're not directly even linking the channel, only people who watch our channel are
yeah, we did that.
I mean? We did that.
Right.
But it's not even marketing,
Right.
Because with our content, we cannot drive masses of people to our channel.
Right.
You have to already be there, or it's like somebody said it was on a BitChute comment. He said, it was Kenneth Copeland, was his name, on BitChute, and I really liked it. He said, we're at a time where you cannot wake anyone up. They have to wake themselves up.
Yes.
I thought, I like that. I love that, you know? And so we can't just market our way to millions of, you know what I'm saying? But what we can is offer a place for people to go who've woken up to a certain point.
Right.
You know? And so, like, what are you doing?
Right.
Maybe you're watching and just getting informed and learning stuff. I appreciate that, but how is that going to translate?
Right.
You know? We had the Support the Military video. And I was talking about, like, the Vietnam veteran who's been pulled into this, you know? He was conscripted, you know? Like, in a full-on draft. And then he went over there and did horrible stuff, and he's got PTSD, and he's walking around with his veteran's hat. Why haven't you dedicated your life to getting one person not to join the military so they're not in the next Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria? You know what I'm saying? But no action. Just one person. Because you can make a difference.
Totally.
If you got 10 buddies, because they sit in that McDonald's that I was talking about, there's packs of these old cool dudes, you know?
Yeah.
But there's like 10 of them. They all get one. That's 10 individuals, you know?
Right.
You guys keep going or what?
Go for it.
Okay. So there's this guy who comments and is always very intelligent comments. His name's Admiral JW on, I told you about him, on Rumble.
Okay.
And he knows so much more than we do about finances.
Okay.
You know? And so he approaches things from a financial, like, you don't have to make a podcast. This is just our appeal because we've done a lot of research. But this, like in the video, How to Wake People Up, I loved his answer. It was just, he would come at him with financial questions. Because like you said, he knows more than anybody who he's going to be talking to about those subjects. And they're just intentionally vague and difficult to understand, the subject is. Sure. So that he's got an angle in, and that's his angle, and it's different than ours because that goes to his specialty.
Right.
But what I'm saying is there are very possible, not unicorn, possible ways to contribute to get to where we want to go. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And we're not asking for money.
Yeah, this isn't a pledge drive or anything. It's just, like, go back to the story of how this started. You know, we're having all these discussions, and we're like, well, why don't we see this stuff on the internet? Why is there no one we can listen to? And then, if no one's doing it, we have to do it. You know what I mean? Right. Like, it's a necessity. This is not my forte. Obviously, the majority of the videos, I'm just listening to Jack. He's the talker, and you know, that type of thing. I'm more of a thinker type of dude, and just, I don't talk a lot. I'm doing this because it needs to be done. Someone needs to do it, and there's no one doing it. Right. It's not fun. It's not, I mean, the enjoyment I get is because I know I'm doing the right thing. Right. It's not, the activity itself is not my reasoning. It's
like you said, if somebody else were already doing it.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody were talking about these things, like the Border Patrol one, nobody talks about it. Zero people, you know? Yeah. And if somebody were, then it's just so much easier. I'll just go support them. Totally. You know? Yeah. And then they're doing an event. I'll go to the event. Easy peasy. I don't have to edit videos. I don't have to do accounting. You know what I mean? I don't have to. What am I doing here? I don't know how to edit videos or account. And here I am. You know what I mean? Right. And you're stuck doing audio visual and you have no idea about it. Right. But I'm just saying, all I'm saying is this. The major point here is what I'm saying is, don't be so demoralized that you think or even that you think of a future system in terms of impossibility.
Right. Yeah, it's, you don't need to know how to get from here to there. Just take one step. And I feel like our life is too easy, just in general. Like, I was thinking, like, what is the worst thing happening in my life right now? It's that twice a day I have to remember to go to my thermostat and switch it from heating to cooling. And sometimes I forget and it gets too cold in my house at night or hot during the day.
That's the worst.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how great life is. And I want to disrupt this. I want to put this risk, you know, my banking getting locked down or something like that because I say the wrong thing. Is life really that bad? And I feel like everyone is in that complacence. I don't need to risk anything, you know, and you're not willing to take a step. Right. And just pick something. Just like you know, we're taking this step, talk to people. I was even thinking people who are, you know, a lot of stuff, just 1 hour a week, sit down, copy some links about something you like, and after a month you got a bunch of stuff, send us all the links and we'll make a video of it. I mean, it's just an easy, it's just an easy thing that you can do. If you're already listening to these videos, just help us out with some research. You're contributing, you're pushing the cause forward and bringing the idea and making it less of a unicorn and more of a real thing.
Right.
It just take one step. You don't have to know the whole path. We don't know it either.
This is a good point too. I'll just tell a story.
Yeah.
Right. So we film 4 episodes every weekend, and then we produce 3. 3 get released every week. And basically for this weekend we had 4. Mm-hmm. 3 of them required research. And how many of those 3 are we actually filming this weekend?
0.
Literally 0. We had to change last night.
Yeah.
3 of them to conversational videos that they still have some little bit of research, but not a lot. Because between working and then also I'm editing during the week and then also I'm replying to comments and I got some of the research done. You got more than I did done.
Yeah.
And then we'll end up doing those videos next week. But it's uncomfortable, we'll say.
Yeah. This does not make life better other than the satisfaction of doing the right thing. This fills up your life.
So I was telling you, me and my wife I'm rereading, she's reading for the first time A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, right? And so it was like the 5th chapter, and they were describing the French people, and it's pre-revolution. And he just calls them scarecrows.
Okay.
Because they're so miserably hungry, and they're just so desperate. And he portrays it beautifully, And I think about your story where you're saying like, oh, my life's so comfortable, I just got to change it. Well, why do anything then? Life's good, right?
Right.
It will get to that, though.
Right.
It will get to that. Not for you.
Right.
Not during your lifetime.
Yeah, probably not.
It'll be, my kids, they'll be a little bit older. They'll be, not doing, I'm not going to talk bad about my future, my children, because they're going to be doing the right thing,
Yeah.
But just average kids. You don't want to act when you're scarecrows. You want to do it now.
Right.
You want to take the steps and become involved now. If not with us, I don't even care if it's with us.
Right.
I mean, if so, that's fine. That's great.
Yeah.
But if not,
do
something. Yeah. And don't become demoralized.
Right.
And then don't allow that demoralization to become apathy.
Right.
Yeah.
And just because your parents failed everyone and your grandparents and back 100 years, that doesn't mean we have to fail. We can start something and just shoot for the best. You know what I mean?
Right. And even if lots of the things that we know about, my parents didn't know about a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. So they weren't able to teach me. But I said this in a comment to somebody. Imagine the advantage that my sons are going to have.
Totally.
Because on 9/11, I show them, the little video, and this is why this day we celebrate, the tragedy and this and that. But in a couple of years, when he gets a little older, he's going to hear an entire different story from me. And he's going to be such a leg. And I'm not going to tell him what to think. I'm just going to pitch it. Here's some facts, and the other kids don't know these facts,
Right.
But imagine if you could create that advantage too, even with your nephews, if not your, say you don't have kids, your nephews. If you do have kids, with your grandkids, tell them a story. I don't know. There's all types of ways.
Right. And and not only are they not starting from ground zero with their knowledge, they might not even have their head may not be fully in the sand just because you've had the conversations with them. Maybe they're just more aware and more willing to question. Just all that kind of stuff can have a huge impact.
Okay, yeah, or it could just plant the seed like that one guy in the comments. He put all my stories about comment people.
That's fine. No, that's great.
The one guy, he asked both of his grandfathers who had fought in Europe for the U.S., and he asked them, and they told him all these stories about how the Nazis were such gentlemen and this and that. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, And then he went on, and then years later, he's reading stuff. And he's like, oh, that's what they meant. I wish I could go back and talk to him now.
Yeah.
But that seed maybe took a decade to, or longer.
Sure.
And so, okay, don't become apathetic.
Or you probably already are apathetic, but fight your way out of it. Maybe. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. I feel like the majority of people, and this is me too. I'm not saying I'm great at this. And my current goal is just trying to wake up every morning early and read a little bit. Yeah. So it's a fight for everyone because we're brought up in this environment. So
okay. Yeah. Well, we're interested in hearing what you think. Even if you think there's no possibility of ever, I'm interested in hearing. I'm interested in hearing your reason why. And if you have other reasons, other arguments we could have used to inspire hope. Yeah. Instead of demoralization, totally interested.
I would love to hear someone who has zero hope. Why don't watch the channel then? What is the this is just like a fantasy thing?
Interesting.
Or like, what is the point then?
And if that is your thing, keep doing it.
Okay.
Titillate that fantasy, because that might grow into a seed of hope.
Yeah, maybe.
You know? And I just imagine in a year, in 2 years, when we have a couple thousand followers on Rumble and people are just in the comments but did you see this reference to this thing? You know what I'm saying? To the other person who sent a reference to the, you know what I mean? And you're looking, you're like, well, there's so much here. You know what I mean? The rabbit hole could be created in the comments. Also, when our website's complete, there's going to be a lot of ability for interaction. We're going to give you your own way that you can contribute by building this database of all the things that people don't know.
Right.
Anyways, don't be sad. Be happy. There's a bright future ahead. If we make it, it's
our choice whether.
And if not, then we can just go quietly into the night. Hope that's not the case. Interested in hearing your thoughts on the subject, no matter what you think on the subject. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.